Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. It's with heavy hearts we share the sad news of extraordinary American legends who passed away in the last 24 hours on May 24, 2025. Today, we pay tribute to their incredible lives and legacies that shaped our world. Join us as we honor their contributions. If this resonates with you, please like, support, and subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt tributes. Let's begin. Sacha Jenkins. What if one man's voice could capture the heartbeat of hip-hop, from gritty New York streets to global screens, only to leave us wondering what secrets he took with him? Sacha Jenkins, the legendary journalist, filmmaker, and cultural curator, did just that. When news broke on May 23, 2025, that Jenkins had passed away, at just 53, the hip-hop world stopped in its tracks. Fans, artists, and peers flooded platforms like X with tributes, calling him a titan who shaped how we see the culture. But behind the acclaim, whispers of personal struggles and unspoken pressures linger. Today, we're diving into the life of Sacha Jenkins, his triumphs, his untold stories, and the mysteries that still spark conversation. Born in 1971 in Philadelphia, Jenkins was raised in Queens, New York, where the pulse of hip-hop was impossible to ignore. His father, Horace, was a trailblazing filmmaker who won Emmys for Sesame Street and pioneered TV with Black Journal. His mother, Monart, a Haitian painter, filled their home with art and creativity. By his teens, Jenkins was already leaving his mark, not with a MIC, but with a spray can. At just 17, he launched Graphic Scenes and Explicit Language, one of the first zines dedicated to graffiti art. It wasn't just a magazine, it was a love letter to the streets, capturing the raw energy of a culture bubbling up from New York's subways. Jenkins wasn't chasing fame, he was documenting a movement. But there was more to his story. In 1994, Jenkins teamed up with Elliott Wilson to create Ego Trip magazine, a game-changer that blended hip-hop, skateboarding, and punk with a sharp, sarcastic edge. They only published 13 issues, but those pages became scripture for a generation. Ego Trip wasn't afraid to poke fun at the culture while celebrating it, spawning books like the Book of Rap Lists and Big Book of Racism. Then came the TV shows, VH1's The White Rapper Show and Miss Rap Supreme, which tackled race and gender in hip-hop with a sly grin. Jenkins wasn't just reporting on the culture, he was shaping how we talked about it. And what happened next would shock everyone. Jenkins' pen was his weapon, and he wielded it everywhere. As music editor at Vibe from 1997 to 2000, he interviewed giants like Nas and Kid Rock, his words painting vivid pictures of their worlds. He wrote for Spin and Rolling Stone, covering everyone from Queens of the Stone Age to the Mars Volta. Then there was his collaboration with Eminem, co-authoring The Way I Am in 2008, a raw look into the rapper's mind. Jenkins also created the Peacebook series with David Villarente, showcasing graffiti sketches from artists worldwide, some dating back to 1973. His work wasn't just journalism, it was history. But that wasn't the whole story. By the 2010s, Jenkins had traded his notepad for a camera, becoming a storytelling force at Mass Appeal, where he served as creative director. His documentary Fresh Dressed hit Sundance in 2015, unraveling the threads of hip-hop fashion with style and grit. Then came Rapture on Netflix, an 8-part series profiling artists like Nas, T.I., and Rhapsody, showing how their lives shaped their music. Jenkins didn't stop there. He directed Wu-Tang Clan, Of Mics and Men, a 4-part Showtime series that peeled back the layers of the iconic group's struggles and triumphs. He even curated Hip Hop 50 for Showtime, a massive project celebrating the genre's 50th anniversary. Jenkins was everywhere, but something else was brewing. Music wasn't just something Jenkins wrote about, he lived it. As a member of the White Mandingos alongside rapper Moors and Bad Brains' Daryl Jennifer, he rocked stages with their 2013 album The Ghetto Is Tryna Kill Me. He also stepped into theater, writing and producing D's Nuts, a musical massacre about the Beatnuts in 2009, and directing Negroes on Ice with Prince Paul in 2011. These projects showed Jenkins' restless creativity, blending hip-hop with punk and theater in ways few dared. But behind the scenes, not everything was as smooth as it seemed. Rumors have swirled about Jenkins' final years, though none are confirmed. Posts on X and online chatter suggest he faced health challenges, with some speculating stress from his relentless workload took a toll. Others whisper about creative disputes or personal struggles, though no hard evidence backs these claims. What we do know is Jenkins kept pushing, working on a Beastie Boys biography and new films until the end. Reports claim he was planning more for Hip Hop 50, aiming to cement the culture's legacy. These rumors add a layer of mystery to a man who always kept us guessing. But the real question is, what did he leave behind? When Jenkins passed, the outpouring was immediate. On X, voices like Vinnie Paz and Junie Brown called him a legend who carried hip-hop's soul. His work with Ego Trip, Mass Appeal, and films like Of Mics and Men didn't just document the culture, they gave it a voice, raw and real. Tributes poured in, praising his intelligence, kindness, and commitment to authenticity. Yet, his sudden departure left fans reeling, wondering about the projects he didn't finish, like the Beastie Boys book or new documentaries. Jenkins' death wasn't just a loss. It was a wake-up call to cherish the storytellers who keep hip-hop alive. Sacha Jenkins wasn't just a journalist or filmmaker. He was a griot, weaving stories of struggle, joy, and rebellion. From graffiti-covered zines to Sundance screens, he told the world what hip-hop really meant. His life reminds us that the culture isn't just music, it's a way of seeing the world, born from pain and transformed into art. As we mourn his loss, we're left with a question: who will pick up where Jenkins left off, carrying the torch for a culture that's still evolving? His story doesn't end here. It lives in every beat, every spray can, every frame he touched. Sebastião Salgado. What kind of person travels the world to capture humanity's rawest moments, its struggles, its beauty, its untouched corners, and turns those images into a mirror for us all? Sebastião Salgado, a Brazilian photographer, did just that, weaving stories of workers, wanderers, and wild places into black and white frames that still haunt us today. His lens didn't just see the world, it felt it. But how did a man trained in numbers end up chasing shadows and light across 120 countries? Salgado wasn't always behind a camera. Back in the early 1970s, he was an economist, crunching data far from the dusty trails of Africa. But on those trips to the continent, something clicked, not just his shutter, but his soul. He picked up a camera seriously in 1973, abandoning spreadsheets for stories. Starting with news assignments, he worked with agencies like Sigma and Gamma, honing a style that cut deep. His photos weren't just pictures, they were cries, whispers, and dreams frozen in time. By the late 70s, he was ready for something bigger, something that would let him chase the human condition without restraint. And that's when he found his tribe. In 1979, Salgado joined Magnum Photos, the legendary cooperative of photographers who captured the world's pulse. Here, he carved out his niche: social documentary photography, shining a light on workers in forgotten corners of less developed nations. His images of laborious, gritty, human, unflinching, made you stop and stare. But he wasn't just snapping shots, he was building a legacy. In 1994, he and his wife Lilia broke away to form Amazoa's Images in Paris, giving him full control to tell the stories he wanted. His work wasn't about fame, it was about truth. And one project would cement his name forever. Enter Sarah Palada, the Brazilian gold mine that became Salgado's most iconic work. Between 1986 and 1989, he photographed thousands of workers clawing through mud for flecks of gold. The images are haunting, human figures ant-like against vast, scarred earth, lit with a drama that feels almost biblical. These weren't just photos, they were a gut punch, showing the lengths people go to survive. His books, like Workers and Migrations, followed suit, collecting hundreds of images from around the globe. Each frame told a story of struggle, resilience, or quiet dignity. But there was more to Salgado than mines and migrations. Something else was calling him. By 2004, Salgado turned his lens to the planet itself. His Genesis project, spanning 7 years, captured landscapes and communities untouched by modern life. Think Arctic ice fields, Amazonian tribes, and wildlife, so vivid you can almost hear it breathe. This wasn't just photography. It was a plea to reconnect with nature, to rediscover what humanity could be. He called it a love letter to the planet, and it showed. Every image, with its stark black and white contrast and dramatic lighting, felt like a call to action. But Salgado didn't stop at taking pictures. He and Lilia were about to change the world in another way. Deep in Brazil's Atlantic forest, Salgado's heart found another purpose. In the 1990s, he and Lilia began restoring 17,000 acres of degraded land, turning it into a thriving nature reserve. By 1998, they'd founded Instituto Terra, dedicated to reforestation and conservation. This wasn't just a side project, it was a mission. His Amazonia series, capturing the Amazon rainforest's people and landscapes, echoed that passion. From coffee workers in Ethiopia to indigenous communities in Brazil, Salgado's camera celebrated lives tied to the earth. But not everyone saw his work the same way, and whispers of controversy started to swirl. Some critics argued Salgado's photos leaned too hard into suffering, almost romanticizing poverty. Others praised his ability to humanize the overlooked. Online, fans and detractors still debate whether his dramatic style exploited or empowered his subjects. And then there's the buzz about unpublished works, rumors swirling on platforms like X that Salgado left behind a hidden archive of images, maybe even a final project. Nothing's confirmed, but the speculation keeps fans buzzing. Was he planning one last statement? The mystery only adds to his allure. But something darker was brewing in his personal life. In 2010, while photographing in Indonesian New Guinea, Salgado faced a battle no camera could capture. He contracted falciparum malaria, a brutal illness that ravaged his body and permanently damaged his bone marrow. He survived, but the fight left scars. Fast forward to 2025, and Instituto Terra announced his passing on May 23, from leukemia tied to that earlier illness. He was 81. The news hit hard, with tributes flooding from every corner. UNICEF, where he'd been a Goodwill ambassador since 2001, called him a voice for the voiceless. But his story doesn't end there. Salgado's legacy isn't just in the frames he left behind. It's in the forests he regrew, the conversations he sparked, the way he made us see the world's beauty and pain. His work, from Serra Pelada's muddy depths to Genesis's untouched horizons, reminds us what it means to be human. And with Instituto Terra carrying on his mission, his impact lives on. So what does it say about us that his photos still stop us in our tracks? Maybe it's that we're still searching for the connection he spent his life chasing. Malini Fonseka. Was Malini Fonseka the greatest icon Sri Lankan cinema ever produced? Or did her off-screen choices spark as much intrigue as her legendary roles? Known as the Queen of Sinhala cinema, Malini Fonseka's journey from a small-town girl to an international star and politician is a story packed with triumphs, challenges, and whispers that kept fans talking. Her 7-decade career left an indelible mark, but there's more to her than the spotlight. Let's dive into the life of a woman who shaped an industry and a nation, one role at a time. Malini Fonseka didn't just walk into fame, she burst onto the scene. Born in 1947 in Kalania, she grew up in a bustling family of 11 siblings, where creativity ran deep. By 1968, at just 21, she made her cinematic debut in Punkai Baba, a film that caught the eye of Sri Lanka's top directors. Her raw talent shone, but it was her 1969 win at the National State Drama Festival for Best Actress that turned heads. Critics and fans alike saw something special, a magnetic presence that could carry a story. She wasn't just acting, she was living each role, from vulnerable heroines to fierce leading ladies. That early spark set the stage for a career that would redefine Sri Lankan cinema. But what made her stand out in a competitive industry? Her global breakthrough came sooner than anyone expected. In 1975, Malini became the first Sri Lankan actress to earn international acclaim, snagging a jury award at the Moscow International Film Festival. 2 years later, she added a win at the New Delhi Film Festival to her name. These weren't just awards, they were proof that Malini could hold her own on the world stage. She starred alongside icons like Tamil actor Sivaji Ganesan in pilot Premnath in 1978, blending her Sinhala roots with international flair. Back home, films like Nidanaya and Sirapala Soha Ranmenika showcased her ability to tackle complex characters, earning her praise as a trailblazer. But how did she keep audiences hooked for decades? Malini's reign as the queen of Sinhala cinema wasn't just about talent, it was about connection. She won the Slim Nielsen People's Award for Most Popular Actress 12 times in a row, a record that still stands. Her roles in Hingana Kola, 1980, Orodhana, 1982, and Yosa Ijaru, 1983, and her Sarasavia Best Actress awards, cementing her as a household name. Whether playing a heartbroken lover or a resilient mother, she brought authenticity that resonated with Sri Lankans. Her 2024 role in the music video Ia Wasanthaya No showed she could still captivate, even in her late 70s. Yet, there was another side to Malini that few saw coming. What pushed her beyond the screen? Malini didn't stop at acting, she wanted to shape stories herself. In 1984, she took a bold step with Sasara Chetana, directing and producing a film that showcased her vision. She followed it with Ahimsa, 1987, and Sri, 1991, proving she could command both sides of the camera. Her move to television was just as groundbreaking. Directing Nirupamala, she became Sri Lanka's first female teledrama director, a milestone that echoed her fearless spirit. Her performances in teledramas like Kemara and Pitigam Karayo earned her Samarthi Best Actress awards, showing her versatility across mediums. But her next chapter would spark debates no one saw coming. In 2010, Malini stepped into a new arena, politics. Appointed as a Member of Parliament for the United People's Freedom Alliance, she aligned herself with Mahinda Rajapaksa, a move that raised eyebrows. Supporters saw it as a natural extension of her influence, but critics argued she was out of her depth. Some reports suggest her parliamentary contributions were minimal, with one analyst noting she and fellow actress Apeksha Swarnamali lacked political knowledge and made little impact. Malini's tenure, from 2010 to 2015, included symbolic moments, like spending a night in the Parliament chamber, but her political legacy remains divisive. Was this a misstep, or a bold new role? The answer depends on who you ask. Off-screen, Malini's life wasn't without its struggles. Her first marriage to Upali Senanake in 1965 ended in divorce by 1980. Her second marriage to actor-producer Lucky Diaz in 1986 lasted over 20 years, but ended in 2011. These personal challenges rarely made headlines, but they added layers to her story. In early 2025, Rumors swirled about her health after a brief hospitalization for cancer treatment. Social media posts falsely claimed she had passed, prompting her sister Damayanthi to clarify that Malini was recovering well. These rumors, though debunked, showed how deeply fans cared about her. But there's another layer to her story that ties it all together. Malini's family was a dynasty in its own right. 3 sisters, Shriyani, Rasadari, and Damayanthi, and brother Ananda were part of the cinema world, though none matched her stardom. Her nieces, Samanali and Senali Fonseka, carried the torch, starring in hits like Siri Parakam. Tragically, Malini lost brothers Dayananda in 2012 and Ananda and Upali in 2020, the latter to COVID-19 complications. These losses added a somber note to her legacy, but her family's presence in the industry kept her influence alive. And yet, there's one final twist that makes her story even more compelling. Malini Fonseka's legacy is a tapestry of triumphs and complexities. From her 1968 debut to her 2024 music video, she starred in over 150 films, directed groundbreaking projects, and earned accolades like the 1996 Vishwa Prasadini Award and a 2019 Janabhimani Honorary Award. Her 2003 felicitation ceremony, Malini, attended by President Chandrika Kumaratunga, celebrated her 4-decade reign. But her political stint and personal struggles sparked debates that linger. In 2025, false rumors of her passing reminded us how deeply she's woven into Sri Lanka's cultural fabric. Malini wasn't just an actress, she was a force who challenged norms and inspired generations. What will her story teach the next wave of dreamers? That's a question only time can answer.